Welcome everyone and welcome to our course on artificial intelligence. So we just learned about the basics of Python in our previous classes, but the thing that we want to learn right now is about the libraries that are required for our artificial intelligence program. So one basic thing about Python programming language is the basics of Python is very easy and very simple to learn. But one thing we need to consider here is there are some complicated things and complicated issues like a lot of libraries and a lot of functions that are required to enable your artificial intelligence based programs. So your programming language is just one simple set of code which can just execute and you can perform simple operations. But whenever you want to connect it to internet, or whenever you are trying to connect it to servers, or if you want to do some artificial intelligence based applications, whether you want to train an algorithm or get results from it, so most importantly you need to work with that is nothing but your libraries. So how to install libraries or how to work with libraries, that we'll be learning today, and we'll be learning some of the important libraries that are required for our artificial intelligence course as well. So let's get started with the libraries part. Okay, here I am in my simple Python program. So one thing is pretty simple. So to import any libraries or to use any libraries, you have a keyword called as import. So import is a keyword for choosing or for using any different kind of library. So if you want to import any library, you need to use the import keyword, and you can write in the name of the library. So import, like you have your time as a inbuilt library, then you have import system, so that is an inbuilt library. So import OS, so those are all the inbuilt libraries that are present inside Python. So one thing is, Python is since a very versatile language, there is no common specification or common libraries that will be there. Just few simple libraries or few basic libraries that will be present when you install Python. So rest all the libraries are dependent on your application, because a web developer uses libraries of Python related to web development like Django and your SQL servers. So a person who is doing games will use a library called as Pygame, or will use a library called as GUI. So those are all the requirements. A person using artificial intelligence based applications might use the basic libraries, that is Pandas, NumPy, Matplotlib and Scikit-learn. So it is very versatile. So the libraries are not pre-installed. You need to install them, and I'll be teaching you how to install your library. So that is what I'll be teaching you. Okay, so before doing all those things, so what we'll try to do is pretty simple. So first part is we'll try to import libraries. So if you want to import libraries, you need to use import keyword. So you have import time, that is one of our basic libraries that are available inside Python. So this is how you are importing a library. So if you don't want to use this large word called as time once and again and again, you can create another alias name for that particular thing. So this is how you can use a particular you can use a particular alias name, that is Steve instead of time. So wherever you call the functions related to time, so you will use this alias name, that is nothing but T. So you can import libraries directly as the library name, or you can give an alias of whatever you want. So for example, I have my print statement here. So I will print nothing but my data. So this is the print statement I have. So if I want to use any function within this module, so there is one function called as time.sleep. So time.sleep, I need to give it in terms of milliseconds. So it will try to sleep after that. So then I will try to give my other data, my new data. So these are all just sample statements which I am trying to use it. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to print my whole, that is nothing but I'm trying to print my data here. I am using some kind of library called as time, which is a pre-built library. So time.sleep is nothing but your delay. So how you have your delay in other programming languages. So you have your time.sleep. But in other programming languages, the problem is everything is defined in milliseconds. So 5000 is meaning it as 5 seconds in case of other programming languages. But here everything is in the form of seconds. So if you want to make that cause a delay of 3 seconds in your program, what you will do is you will give an input of 3. So that is how you can see my data is getting printed after 1 to 3 seconds. Yes, my new data is getting printed. So that is how you use a inbuilt library inside Python. So there are a lot of functions, so you don't need to learn each and every library. So depending on your requirement or depending on the time when you want to learn a particular feature, you can learn, because there are millions of libraries in Python and you can't start learning each and every one of them. So only when the requirement arises, you can use the functions and see what are the functions and how they are working, and you can start using them. But another important part that you need to understand right now is how to install any library which is present outside your like Python environment, or any other library which you want to install. So how to install any new libraries is pretty simple. So if you want to install any new library, you need to use something called as pip installer. So PIP, it is nothing but Python installs packages. So pip is nothing but a keyword called as Python installs packages. What pip does is it takes in the URL. So whenever you type in some like name of the library, so it will go to that particular Python like library repository website. It will search for the respective library which you have typed in. So then it will get the files that are needed to install those, and it will automatically install. So that is what pip is doing. So I will repeat it again. Pip is nothing but Python installs packages. So whenever you want to use any libraries, or whenever you want to install any libraries that is not part of the Python environment as such, so if you want to do all those sort of things, what you need to do is you need to pip install some library. So what is pip installation? So whenever you type in the command called as pip, it will go to the Python default repository package. So that is nothing but a website or a server which contains all the packages built for Python. So then it will try to fetch the keyword which you have mentioned. For example, pip install pandas. So pandas is one of the library. So if I type in pandas, it will search for the pandas library for suitable for my Python version. Then download that library as well as install the packages for us. So this is what our pip does. So what we'll try to do now is pretty simple. So we'll try to see how to configure our pip for our current Python programming session. So that is what you need to do. So how to configure pip for your Python is very simple, and the thing is you should be able to run your Python in CMD. So this is also one more thing I forgot to teach you. So how to run your like Python how to run your Python file using CMD. So that is what you need to do. So these two things we'll be trying to learn right now. So first thing is pretty simple. What you need to do is you need to go to your Windows. So after going to your Windows, so if you are a Linux user, you don't need to set it up automatically, it will be set up. So if you are a Windows user, what you need to do is you need to go to your you need to type Python first. So if you are a Windows user, type Python first. So see, I have two versions of Python installed. I think yours will be one version, that is Python 3.8. So you can right click on this and you can select open file location. So I will repeat it again. Just type in Python, go to Windows, type in Python. So then right click on the Python icon. So right click on that, and you need to click on open file location. So right click and open file location. Then right click on this and click on properties. So right click on this Python 3.8, click on properties. So this properties will tell you that where my Python is actually installed. So this target is nothing but the path where my Python is installed. So we need to copy this particular path. So this path we need to copy. Control C, we need to copy this path. Okay, then go close this. Then you need to paste that particular path in your Windows file directory. So python.exe you can remove it. So you need to load only the C Python 38. So yours will be C app data roaming / Python 38. So if you load this path, so this is the path where my entire Python, that is nothing but my Python programs are installed. So this is there. So if I want to install something using pip, by default I cannot install because it is a command. So what I will need to do is I need to go inside a folder called as scripts. So I will repeat it again. It is pretty simple. Once you open Windows, type in Python. So you will get this Python 3.8. Right click on that. Then go to open file location. So this will load the file location. Then right click and click on properties as well. So this will load the path. So this target is nothing but the path where my Python is installed. So I need to copy this path in my file manager. In my file manager, what I need to do is instead of this like directory, I will load this directory, but remove this python.exe. We need to go to that particular folder. So this is the folder. So after going to this folder, we have a folder called as scripts. So here the pip installer is there. So what we are trying to do here is we need to copy this particular nothing but you need to copy this particular path. So this particular path is telling us our pip installer is there in this particular path. So please copy this path. So copy this, then you need to go to your nothing but control panel, or you can type in environment variables or edit environment variables, or you can go to control panel. So inside control panel you can search for environmental variables. So that is there. Inside system you will have environmental variables. So okay, inside system you can go to device manager. So instead of device manager you can directly go to advanced system settings. Here you will have environmental variables. So if you are not getting that directly, you can use it. That is nothing but you can type in environment variables in your Windows. So that will open this particular path. So just type in environmental variables. So what will happen is there will be an option called as edit the system environment variables. You can select this. So then what you need to do is pretty simple. You need to click on this environment variables. So after clicking on this environment variables, what you need to try to do this. See, basically what you are trying to do is, here is your CMD. So whenever you open CMD, whenever you type in CD whenever you type in IP config, so that will give you information about your IP address and everything. So those are all our default commands. To make this pip installation run on our CMD. So if I type in pip install, or if I type in Python in my in my CMD, it won't understand what is Python and what is pip. So what we'll try to do is we'll try to give a path. So stating that this particular script, that nothing but these all installer programs are also our default program inside our Python environment. So whenever I use CMD, my pip or Python will become my default path. So that is what we are trying to do. It is nothing but we are selecting this as a default path. So whenever CMD opens, you can use all these particular Python functions by default. So what you need to do is you need to go to the system variables. So in system variables, okay, so you need to choose this path. Okay, so after choosing this path, so go to system variables. So if this is for user variable, so this is for your user. So this is for system. So if you edit it or if you change it here, it will be applicable for all the users. So you can click on edit. So after clicking on edit, what you can do is pretty simple. So after clicking on edit, what you need to do is select path, click on edit. So what you need to do is pretty simple. So you need to add a new path. So how do you add a new path? Click on new. So empty space will appear and paste this. So your particular scripts directory should be pasted here. Okay, so that is very important to do. Okay, so after doing this, nothing but you are adding this new path. So you need to add another path also. So you need to click on new again, paste it, but remove the scripts. So why I am telling you this is pretty simple. So within this Python 3.8, you have your Python. So this Python exe is within this particular path. So what you need to do is you need to remove that scripts also. So at the end you should have you need to remove this Python script. So it should be just Python 38. So only this should be there. You need to remove all the other part, that is nothing but /scripts if you remove. So that will be set as a default path. So that is how you can add paths, and you can click on OK. So that is one method of doing the thing. That is nothing but adding the path here. So after adding the path, what we are trying to do is pretty simple. Okay, so we try to add our path here. So in this path, so we have tried to add the Python and the whole Python environment as well as our scripts environment. Yeah, so that is basically the thing that you need to do. I'm going to just repeat it again. So small things, you need to go to your environmental variables. Then you need to choose the path for your system variables. You need to click on edit, and you need to add two new paths. So one path is just your Python directory where your scripts is involved. So you need to use that scripts also. So that is one. Then you need to remove the scripts and just use your Python 38. So what you are trying to do is you are trying to add two folders as your default directory. What are all the two folders? This Python 38 as well as this Python 38 scripts. So two folders you are trying to add it as your default directory. So you can do those particular things. So that will make your Python as well as your pip become the basic or the default directories in your CMD. So if you want to install anything, that pip and Python keyword will be directly visible. So once I load my Python, so what I will try to do is if I load my Python, so I need to just type in Python here. So this, if it is recognized that this Python version is appearing and you are getting 3 arrow marks, then you have successfully done your Python setting up properly. So if you are not able to do this, then there is some mistake with the path. So please check the path. So your path needs to be the correct exact path. So while making the changes also, please be like exact or please choose the correct path. So don't choose any other path. So basically two paths should be there. So what is the two paths? I'll just type in here. So the two paths must be your scripts path and the one without your scripts path. So these two things that need to be added. So if you use this slash also not a problem because there is no other folder there. That is nothing but your root folder. So these two paths need to be added in your environmental variable. So when you add these two paths, so this scripts and this Python 38 will become a part of your like your entire like your entire CMD. So these two become the default paths in your command prompt. So that is what you need to do. So once you click on Python, what you need to do is pretty simple. So this particular Python is nothing but you are inside this Python interpreter. So what is Python interpreter? Idle is your Python interpreter. So whatever you did here, you can do it here as well. So if I want to type 1 plus 1 or if I want to do some any mathematical calculations, I told you it is possible here. So to come out of my Python interpreter, what I need to do is I need to use this quit option. Okay, that is one part. So then what I will try to do is pretty simple. So this what I will try to do is I will save, okay, I will just type in a print statement called as print. Hello Python is my print statement. So this is a Python program. So if I want to run this Python program, I would use to run it like this. So go to run and run the Python program. But I want to run it using my CMD. So what I will do is I will, in the desktop, I will save it as my MYP, okay, my program.py. So I will save it as my program.py. So if I want to run this within the CMD, it is pretty simple. So I need to go to the place where I have my particular file. So mine is in desktop. So I will just type in cd space desktop. What it is doing is cd is nothing but create directory where it is going to the desktop. In my desktop, I have my Python. MYP is my folder name. So myp.py. So this Python myp.py can run my Python files as well. So this is the keyword. So if you don't want to run it using your idle, so if you want to run it using your CMD, you can type in Python space your Python file name.py. So this is how you can run. So similarly, if you want to check whether pip is installed successfully, just type in the command called as pip. So if you get this particular like usage or command, so that is telling you that pip is also, the path for pip is also exactly given. So there is no problem for the path for the pip also. So those two things are solved. So no problem. So the thing is, one thing is if you are in Python 3.8 installation, so if you have already given an option called as add Python to my path. So if you give add Python to my path, then if you type Python, it will be automatically recognized. But you need to give the path to your pip also. So in your environmental variables, if you have given that add to Python by add Python as my path, so it will be taken as default. But you need to use that Python 38 / scripts. That is nothing but that path you need to add it to your environmental variables. So after adding it, this pip will also become like a default path where you can run your program. So how to install any packages is pretty simple. So pip is the command, install is also the command. So the first package that will be working is called as pandas. So we'll be installing this package. So pip install pandas. So one thing you need to make sure that since I have already installed in mine, so that is not a problem. So for you it will install, then it will tell that package has been successfully installed. So pip install pandas, make sure that you have connected it to your internet. So why do you want to connect it to your internet? This pip, I told you, it is going to the repository of Python, then it is searching for this particular keyword pandas, fetching the file, then installing the particular file. So you can see where it has already gone. So you can see that the requirement is already satisfied. So that is how you can install. So there are multiple packages: pip install pandas, pip install numpy. So any package that you want to install. So I have already installed all these packages. So that is why I am getting a requirement satisfied. So if you have not installed it, so you can install it again by using pip. So if you want to uninstall anything, it is nothing but pip uninstall. Okay, packages. So if you want to pip uninstall something, so you can pip uninstall the package name. So then that will work. So you can give any package that you want. So if you want to pip uninstall, okay, pandas itself. So if I want to uninstall, so it uninstalled. So then if I use my yes, so it will uninstall. So then if I want to install, again pip install pandas will install it successfully. So that is how you can install your particular package inside Python. So this was a basic tutorial on how to set up your environment. So in this I taught you how to just set up your environmental variables. So in your environmental variables, what you need to do is pretty simple. You need to choose your path. That is nothing but you need to choose the exact path where your Python is. So many people do a mistake here on choosing the path. It is very simple. Type Python in your Windows, right click, open file location, again right click on properties. In this you have a variable called as target. So copy this, but in this target you should not include this python.exe because that is the file name, that is the execution file name. If you go here, so that is basically telling you that you are inside this Python actual installation folder. This is also a path that you need to make it as an environmental variable. Then inside the scripts, so you need to go inside the script, so that also you need to make it as a part of your installation environment. So these two basic things you need to add it as an environmental variable. So how to add it as an environmental variable? Just type in environmental variables or go to control panel. You need to select system. So inside systems you will have edit environmental variables. So inside system properties you will have a edit environmental variables. But in Windows 7 what you need to do is you need to you will have this option, but you can, if you click on edit, no new window like this appears. Then what you need to do is you need to put a semicolon at the end. Then you need to paste the path. So in Windows 7 you need to put a semicolon here. So whenever you choose in path here, so here only it will try to edit. So whenever you try to edit it here, a new window like this won't appear. Instead of that, here only you will get a text box. So you need to put a semicolon and put the path. So same path, two paths you need to put. One is your Python 38 and the one is your Python 38 scripts. So if you do that, then successfully you are able to install, successfully you are able to give the path of pip and Python to your CMD, so that you can use it anytime to run your Python program as well as install any packages that you need to. So this is an important part that we learned right now. Yeah, trying to understand the whole concept of artificial intelligence. Before doing that, we are very much interested in the types of data. So I told you, without data there is no artificial intelligence, or without data there is no machine learning that is being involved. So without data you are not able to make any effective utilization of your computability of the machines, or you cannot train anything. So for a simple child also, if you want to train the important things, that is how recognition between a cat and a dog, obviously you need to show them in the form of a live cat or a dog, or show them the video of a cat or a dog in a TV or a cell phone, or give regular pictures of a cat or a dog. So without data you cannot train any artificial intelligent algorithm or a computer or any kind of devices. So to understand what are all the different types of data that are available with us right now, so we can classify our data as text data, number data, video or images data, and audio data. So text data can come from anything. So it can be a Microsoft Word document, it can be an email, it can be a text message, or it can be a blog also. So any kind of data that is written in the form of a text, so that is nothing but your text data. So that is one part. So then you have your number data. So number data can be your phone number, statistical data, models. So any data that you want, you can take in the form of numbers. So that will be your numbers data. So then you have your video or images data. So why/images? So image is nothing but a representation of your pixel. So each and every image has a basic unit called as pixel. So that pixels, when arranged in a large order, so that become images. So what do these pixels contain? So these pixels contain your R, G and B, nothing but your red, green and blue, nothing colors which are like in the mixed format. So any color can be represented in the terms of your primary colors. So what are your primary colors? Red, green and blue. So they will have the data of your red, green and blue content. So that is telling you what is the color of that particular pixel. So whenever the millions of pixels join together, so they will form one whole image. So again, videos, what are videos? So videos are nothing but your combination of images, or nothing but multiple images placed one after the other along with an audio data also. So that is video data. Then you have your audio data. Audio data can be in terms of sound signals, recording, songs, anything that you have in your digital audio format. So that is all your audio data. So these kinds of data are called as unstructured data types. So what do you mean by structured and unstructured data types, and how these two are different, we'll try to understand. See, basically unstructured data type is nothing but raw data. So whenever you take an information from any kind of large documents or like any different whole repository, it is all unstructured. For example, if I want to take a record of my fees that is paid to my college or school, so when I go to my college, so they will send me to a record room. So a record room is an unstructured form of data. So whenever I go into the record room, if I find files related to a particular date, for example, if it is related to my March 2020, so then that will be considered as structured, because there is some structure that is happening. So whenever you put the data into a particular structure, according to date, according to names or any other kind of structures that you form, so whenever you categorize the data, it becomes a structured data. Otherwise, it is unstructured data. For example, your email is an unstructured data, but if you categorize your email as primary, spam, then if you categorize it as advertisement, then it becomes structured data. So unstructured data is just simple data without forming any classification. But structured data will form a classification, so that is very important. That is very useful in the case of your machine learning or artificial intelligence. So that is there. So how your structured data is converted to, how your unstructured data is converted to structured data is pretty simple. So what we are trying to do right now is, we have all our unstructured data, that is nothing but our chat messages, our email, our social media data, that is nothing but call recordings, surveys, ratings and reviews. All these are unstructured. So why are they unstructured? Because they have all the information, they are not sorted. So how do I convert them into structured data? I make classification. So out of all these data, so I make classifications as sales, Excel, finance, CRM. So you can do anything. So whatever category, if you want to put them, I put the data, so then they become the structured data. So basically any raw data that you take in is all unstructured data. So when you convert them or classify them, they become structured data. For our artificial intelligence, we don't need unstructured data. All we need is structured data. Because unstructured data takes in a lot of unwanted data. So for example, if you are trying to teach a child of what is a cat and what is a dog, so if you have a lot of bird images and a lot of wild animal images, so that is making your child more and more in a dilemma, or it causes a lot of confusions also. So very important not to confuse any kind of machine or any kind of device or a human also. So we prefer to take in structured data instead of unstructured data. So how do I convert it? Just by sorting mechanisms or by cleaning. So all those mechanisms, we convert our data into structured data type. So what are all the structured data formats that is available with us? So structured data formats can be our Excel format. So you have your Excel document where you have data separated in the form of rows and columns. So you have your columns telling us what are all the categories of data that is available. So you have your rows which is having various information about a particular time, particular subject or particular data. So that is one entry that you have in Excel. So Excel format is one such particular data format where you can store structured data. So then you have your comma separated variables. So what is this CSV or comma separated variables? So very important thing is, in our own whole artificial intelligence course, we'll be dealing maximum with CSV file data. So that is nothing but your comma separated variables. So what happens is, in our Excel format, we have data which is stored in the form of rows and columns, but in the case of CSV, each and every data is separated by commas. So that is how your data is stored inside CSV. So then you have TSV, nothing but tab separated variables. So it is exactly similar to your CSV, but instead of separating each and every data by a comma, so we separate it by a tab. What is tab is nothing but 4 spaces is called as one tab space. So whenever each and every data is separated with the help of 4 spaces, so then it becomes a tab separated value or tab separated value data type. So TSV. So then you have your JavaScript object notation. So what are JavaScript object notations? Whenever you want to store the data in the web. So if you are storing the data of students or nothing but a list of all students in your particular school. So if you want to store them, so then you can't store it in the form of CSV files inside the web. So if you store it in JavaScript object notation, so it will be easy for those scripting languages like JavaScript to take in data from these JSON files and retrieve them. So very important when you're dealing with web-based applications or website-based data. So all those data will be stored in JSON files. So similar to JSON files, you have extensible markup files or nothing but XML files. So these XML files also store some important data. So these are all the places where you get your structured data type, and you have your SQL is nothing but your SQL, also many different databases, nothing but web-based databases which store your data. So what is happening in all these things is, each and every data is stored in rows and columns or with the help of commas or tabs or separated with the help of any other different data type or data format that you can see. But important thing is, all data is structured. Structured in the sense, all the data is belonging to a particular classification, and you can easily organize your entire data by using this structured data formats. So this is very important while dealing with artificial intelligence. So whenever you are dealing with artificial intelligence, you can't give your raw images. So all things that you need to do is nothing but convert your raw text format into a structured data format, which either the data can be stored in any of these data types. There are much more structured data types and data formats which you can store this data. So these are all just common examples which we use every day to store our structured data formats. So these are all the important things. So then I told you that CSV files are the most important files that we are trying to use it in our whole that is nothing but our entire artificial intelligence course. So then why do we need this CSV, or why can't we use this Microsoft Excel where the data is stored very easily and it can be accessible by everyone? See, one thing you need to consider is Microsoft Excel is like a proprietary software that is created by Microsoft. So if any other operating system or any other person wants to use, he needs to have a valid license to install your Microsoft software and use them. But in our cases, in artificial intelligence, we'll be using multiple kinds of computer systems where multiple kinds of operating systems will be installed. So why can't we have a single data format which can be accessible by multiple operating systems and use them? So that is why we came up with a concept called as comma separated variable, so which is readable and openable as well as transferable to any kinds of operating system that you want to use. So that is the main reason why we are not using Microsoft Excel. So you can store data in Excel, you can retrieve the data from Excel, but the thing is, Excel is your proprietary software. So without having a valid license, you can't use it in any other device. And moreover, Microsoft Excel is dedicated to Windows operating system. So if you want to use Linux, Ubuntu or any different kinds of Linux based operating system, so Excel is not valid. So what you need to do is, we need to use some common data format called CSV. And another important thing is, why this data needs to be stored in CSV is the amount of memory taken is very less. So you can just compare any CSV file. So if you have an Excel file, you can go to Microsoft Excel and save that file as .csv. So the same file, when it is saved in CSV format, the amount of memory taken is very less. So it will be in the form of KBs when you have millions of data that is being stored inside your CSV file. So the thing is, it is the amount of memory taken by it also is very less. But one good thing about CSV is your CSV can be opened by your Microsoft Excel also. So whenever you open your Microsoft CSV file using Excel, so it will be similar to your Excel file itself. So no difference when you open it using Microsoft Excel. So you can open it using your notepads, you can open it using any different kinds of software like LibreOffice. So any different kinds of data opening software you can use it, but you can directly open it using Excel or Notepad. So both ways you can open it. So not an issue at all. So this is why we use CSV file for our data analytics as well as our artificial intelligence part. Okay. So then important part is about data sets. So what is data sets and how can we derive some important initiatives or derive some important worthwhile data from our data sets, and how can we use some artificial intelligence algorithms to come to a conclusion with data set. So starting off with data, so data is nothing but your observation or measurement. So whenever you collect some data, for example, you go to each and every house and you collect a person's personal data, so that is nothing but your observation or measurement. So it is either most of the times it will be unprocessed because it is all raw data where you are just storing it in papers, or whether you use a computer also you are just storing it, but it doesn't make a sense. But what if I tell you that I have a data of people living in Bangalore with all their ages and all their occupations and the location where they live. So data is nothing but a raw observation or a raw measurement. So if I have a person called as Peter who is living in Jayanagar in Bangalore and age is 34, so that is nothing but unprocessed data. So if I have only Peter, Jayanagar and 34, so I don't know what is Peter, what is Peter, what is Jayanagar and what is 34. But if I have a data that is nothing but a data set which contains a heading basically telling that this is the data set which is dealing with nothing but citizens or people living in Bangalore, so that is what it is dealing with. So then you will have columns. So each and every column will have a column heading. So column heading will have a name. So with that you will have nothing but an age as well as the location. So then your data will make sense. So that is why data sets are very necessary. So they are nothing but a collection of data. So when you have hundreds and millions of data that is collected and they are associated with unique body of work. So what is association with unique body of work? It is telling you that it is associated with a particular topic. So that is how data set is different from a data. So data can be anything. So it can be a number or any other thing that you have collected. But important thing is whenever you make relationships or whenever you make relationship between a different kinds of data that is available and put it under a bigger umbrella called as a unique topic, so then it becomes a data set. So same thing. So if I have just raw information 1, 2, 5, 10 and 20, so that doesn't make anything. So if I have that with a data set telling us it is nothing but the age of people that are living in our area, so then it makes some data like usage as well as usability. So that is why data set is very important. So for an example, so this is the example of data set. So best thing or best example you can consider while considering the example of data set is your Excel sheet. So whenever you see an Excel sheet, so that is similar to your data set. So in this data set you have your column headings, nothing but your order ID, product, category, amount, date and country. So order ID is nothing but a number, product is nothing but all the vegetable names, category is nothing but it is it is the names that is nothing but the product, category is telling you whether it is a vegetable or a fruit, then amount is in terms of dollars, then date and country. So basically what we are trying to do is this is nothing but our inventory of a vegetable or a fruit shop. So this grocery shop is having categories of vegetables and fruits, so which are getting stored, and the amount and the date when they were imported is also being stored. So this data is an example of a data set. So why it is an example of data set? It is collection of data and it is under a common unique body. So what is that unique body? It is nothing but grocery shop data is my heading. So this grocery shop data contains lot of, it's like sub datas that are being stored, and each and every data has a column name. So column name is nothing but my order ID, product category, amount, date and country. So these are all my nothing but my column name. So very important to understand. So why you need all these important data sets. So whenever you want to process any data, you need the examples of data set to use it in your particular like data processing tool, or you can use it in any other application you want to. So this only if I had this particular column, or only if I had this particular row, that would be my raw data. But I have my column numbers, column names, and a whole like a relationship between the data as well as a name given to all this collectified data. So that is why I can call it a data set. So data set is quite different from your data. So that is how you can differentiate. So how do you create or find the data sets is the next question. So if you want to create data sets, or if you want to use data sets, so very important thing is how to create or use data sets is the next part. So data sets can be created by using a lot of independent sources. So whenever data sets are created, for example, if I want to collect weather data of Bangalore, so it cannot be collected in 1 or 2 days. I need to do years of data collection. So each and every day, each and every part of the day, I need to collect my data, and I want to collect the data not only from one area but a whole lot of like collectified areas in Bangalore. So then I need to like do my mathematics, that is nothing but take an average and store all those data. So data creation is not a simple job. It takes a lot of effort and it takes a lot of time. So that is why for you to create a data set, it is highly difficult. So but there are multiple open source data platforms, or there are a lot of platforms where people have like donated all the data for free for usage. So if you want to use, or if you want to apply artificial intelligence to the data which is getting for the data that is available, what you can do is you can take all those data that is freely available from specific places, and you can like apply your artificial intelligence algorithms, as well as you can train your computer using all those data. So there are open source data sets, but if you are dealing with anything specific, so if you are doing a project which is on a specific kind of data which is not available everywhere, for example, if you have some particular like an area or a locality, so if you want to find out what is the average temperature there, since no one would have created the data set, or no one would have stored the data, so the problem is you need to create your own data sets, and you need, because it is for your specialized purpose, you need to create the data set. So that is why in case of generic applications, you will get a lot of data sets, but in case of applications which involve that is your own usage, that is nothing but a specialized usage. So if you want to have your college data set, there will be data available, but to convert it into a data set, you need to work on the data and convert them into a data set. But if you want to have Bangalore people's data, so since the government would have taken initiative during our census, so we would get Bangalore's data. So it depends on your purpose. Basically, what are you trying to do? If it is a specialized, or if it is a narrow, like a thing that you are looking at, then it would not be available. So if it is a wider aspect related to nation, country, or any normal kind of situation, so then that would be available. So where do we get our online data sets? So we would get our online data sets in Kaggle. So I just show you how you can access those sites. Yeah, so Kaggle, if you just type Kaggle on Google, so just go to www.kaggle.com. So this kaggle.com is a place where you can get a lot of data sets. So you can go here and type in data sets here. So this data set, you can go here. So there is a data set about COVID-19. So research data set is available. So then you have political advertisements from Facebook. Then you have COVID research preprint data, Nifty indices data set. So if you just click on any one of the data set, so you can see all the data that is being stored. What are all the data that is being stored? So these will have data columns. So what is the data column? Date, open, high, low, and close. All these are nothing but our data columns that are being available, and this is the data. So how is this a data set? Since it is the data set that is relating to Indian market, that is nothing but stock exchange of India. So then it is showing what is the opening value and closing value for these particular dates and days. So that is how it is like a data set that is available. So there are hundreds of data sets depending on your usage, your purpose. So there are millions of data sets that is available. So you can take any one of the data sets and start working with. So this is one website. So then you can go to another website called as UCI Machine Learning Library. So you can type in UCI Machine Learning Repository. So UCI is nothing but University of California, Irvine. So University California of Irvine is a very good university in case of research work is concerned. So they have done a lot of research and they have created a lot of data sets also. This is also one huge place where you can get data. So you can get data about diseases, cars, wine quality, breast cancer, name any topic, you will get different kinds of data. So you can search for any data that you want to hear. So if you want to search for cars data, so just search for cars data. You can get car evaluation data set. What is a car evaluation data set? What are all the columns involved? So each and every data set you can get an idea of all those things here. So UCI Machine Learning Repository is one such website where you can get data about a lot of data sets. So that is one part. So moving on, we have another thing that is nothing but KD Nuggets. So you can just type in KD Nuggets. So this KD Nuggets is also a machine learning library or machine learning repository where you can search for different kinds of data sets. So millions of data sets are available here as well. So you can search for data sets depending on your purpose. So whether you want to search for different kinds of data sets, so you can search for all the data sets from different countries to different varieties you can search, and then you can use those particular data sets for your AI or machine learning project. So that is available here. So then we have government data sets. For example, if I want Indian weather data, so you can just go to Indian weather data. So you will have your Indian website where you can get the weather data also. So you can have you'll have places to search for website data also. So you can get those data sets. So each and every part of the data set that you can try to get it here. So that is possible in government websites also. For example, Indian Meteorological Department also has a data available. So you have your data supply portal, so where you can see what is the data availability. You can submit for the requests. So you can check for air pollution data. Okay. See, this is very important. See, the thing is, you can see what are all the data sets for which year, which date you want to. So each and everything that can be done here. So that is possible with the help of the government data sets also, because government needs to keep in different important data of various various regions as well as various responsibilities. So all this data is available in government websites also. So that is there. So these things are available here. So then if you want to search for your important data, that is nothing but your data sets related to images. So you have a website called as MODIS. It is called as MODIS. So it is nothing but Moderate Resolution Image Spectrometer. So this is a data set repository that is from NASA. So that is mostly involved in weather data as well as our terrestrial data. So if you want any data relating to weather, then you are relating to natural disasters like storms, forest fires, so all these important things. So you can get the data that is available relating to each and every factor of geography. So that is available with MODIS data set. So this is basically telling you where you can get a lot of data. So there are hundreds of other websites where you can get different amounts of data. But one thing you need to consider is it depends on your usage of how do you want to take the data set. So that is one part. So these are all just examples. For example, Kaggle, UCI Machine Learning Repository, KD Nuggets, government databases, and more. These are all examples of where you will get the data sets. So what you can do is you can search for various other parts where you can get different data sets and use them. So in the upcoming session, what we'll be trying to do is we'll be trying to use the like the libraries, that is pandas, to understand how to actually read the data from the data set, store it in the form of columns and rows, and apply some machine learning operations so that you can use them in your particular projects. So very important. So that topic we'll be dealing with. So how to import our pandas library into our data set and how to utilize them. All those important parts we'll be dealing with in the next session. So thank you guys.